Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. Okay, everybody. Good evening. We are moving on in Masechet Yevamot. We are in Perek Tet, Mishna Daled. Still on the topic of women who can or cannot eat terumah. We're going to include tonight Maaser Rishon. Maaser Rishon is the Maaser that's given to the Levi. So here are the following cases. And of course, as always, best to just visualize the best that you can in your mind how this is working out, since we don't have a chart and paper and pen behind us. Bat Yisrael me'oreset la kohen. If you have a Yisrael girl who is engaged to a kohen, they didn't complete their marriage with nisuin, me'oberet mi kohen, or she's pregnant from her husband who is a kohen, and then he died in divorce and he has no other children. Shomeret yavam le kohen, or the husband died without children and now she's waiting yibum by the brother who is a kohen. Also, ken bat kohen le Yisrael, if you have a daughter who's a kohen who's engaged to a Yisrael, or pregnant by Yisrael, or waiting yibum by Yisrael, lo tochal bitruma. In all these cases, she cannot eat terumah because the erusin, that engagement to a kohen, or pregnancy to a kohen, or a yavam to a kohen cannot entitle a woman to eat terumah. Similarly, bat Yisrael meoreset le Levi. If you have a Yisrael girl who is engaged to a Levi, again, but didn't complete the marriage, me'uberet mi Levi, or she's pregnant from a Levi, shomeret yavam le Levi, she's waiting yibum by a Levi, v'chen bat Levi le Yisrael, or the other way around, you have a daughter of Levi who is engaged to Yisrael, lo tochal b'ma'aser. All these cases she cannot eat the ma'aser rishon, which normally goes to the Levi. Bat Levi me'oreset le kohen. If you have a daughter of a Levi who's engaged to a kohen, me'uberet mi kohen, or she's pregnant by a kohen, shomeret yavam le kohen, or she's waiting yibum by a kohen, v'chen bat kohen le Levi, or a daughter of a kohen who is engaged to a Levi, or pregnant by a Levi, or waiting yibum by a Levi, lo tochal lo bitruma v'lo b'maaser. This lady cannot eat terumah or maaser. Mishnah Hey, bat Yisrael sheniset le kohen. If you have a Yisrael girl who is married to a kohen, full-fledged, tochal bitruma, she's allowed to eat terumah, because the wife of a kohen is also allowed to eat terumah. Met, if the kohen dies, vela emenu ben, but she has a son from him, tochal bitruma, she can continue eating terumah on account of her son. Niset le Levi, now she's a widow, now she marries a Levi. Tochal maaser, she can eat maaser, now because she's married to Levi, she can no longer eat terumah anymore. Met, if the Levi died, bela emenu ben, but she has a son from him as well, tochal b'maaser, she can continue eating maaser. Niset le Yisrael, then she gets married a third time. She marries a Yisrael, and now she cannot eat terumah or maaser. Lo tochal lo terumah v'lo b'maaser. Met vela emenu ben, if the Yisrael dies, but she has a son from the Yisrael, her status remains the same. Lo tochal lo b'terumah lo b'maaser. She cannot eat from terumah or maaser. Met bena mi-Yisrael. If her son from the Yisrael dies, so her third son dies, then she goes back up a level. Tochal b'maaser, she can eat maaser again, because she now has the son. She has a son of a Levi, but she still can't eat terumah. Met bena mi-Levi. If later on her son from the Levi died, tochal bitrumah, she goes back up to the first level, and she can eat terumah. Met bena mi-Kohen, if finally the third son dies, the Kohen son, lo tochal lo bitrumah velo b'maaser, she cannot eat terumah or maaser, and I honestly hope that this case never ever happened to any person before, because that would be just absolutely tragic. Okay, Mishnah Vav. Bat Kohen sheniset le Yisrael. You have a daughter of a Kohen, she can eat terumah. She marries a Yisrael man who cannot eat terumah. The Mishnah says, lo tochal bitrumah, she can no longer eat terumah because she's a wife of a non-Kohen. Met, if that Yisrael dies, vela emenu ben, and she has a son from him, Lo tochal bitruma, she still cannot eat teruma on account of the son of a non-Kohen. Therefore she can't. Now, Niset leLevi. This is, I think, the backwards case. Now she marries a Levi. Tochal b'maaser. She can eat maaser, but not teruma, because she acquires the status of her husband, who's now a Levi. Met, if the Levi dies, vela emenu ben, but she has a son from him. Tochal b'maaser. She can continue eating the maaser. Niset leKohen. If then she marries a Kohen, who is entitled to eat teruma, tochal bitruma, she can eat teruma again, like she previously did when she was single. Met, if the Kohen dies, vela emenu ben, tochal bitruma, she can continue eating teruma. Now, backwards. Met benami Kohen. If the son that she got from the Kohen, which is her third son, dies, lo tochal bitruma, she cannot eat any more teruma, because she goes back to the previous status of the maaser, so she's allowed to eat the maaser. Met bena Levi, if her son from the Levi dies, lo tochal b'maaser, she can't eat maaser either. Met bena Israel, if her first son dies, which is a son from the Israel, chozet lebet avia, she returns back to her father's house. Ve'alzo ne'emar, which means that she can eat teruma. And regarding this, it said in the Torah, ve'shava al bet avia kin'urea milechem avia tochel, that she shall return to her father's house in her youth. She may eat the bread, which is the teruma of her father. Okay, and again, I hope that never happened. That concludes Perek Tet. Perek Yud, Mishnah Aleph. Haisha she'alach ba'ala lemdinat hayam. So you have a woman whose husband went out of town, overseas. Uba'u ve'amru la met ba'alich. One witness came and told her that your husband died. Okay. She said, Shiva, waits 30 days or whatever. She has to. Veniset. And then she goes and marries another man based on that testimony that she got. Guess what happens? Her husband comes back. Hi, honey, how are you? I missed you. Uh-oh. What does she do now? Unfortunately, not good news for this woman. Tetze mizeh umizeh. She has to leave the first husband and the second husband. Okay, so the other reason. Since the first husband was alive when she married the second one, so living with the second one is really adultery. Okay? When a woman commits adultery, the halakha is very clear. Asula bal, asula boel. She cannot remain with her husband, nor can she remain with the guy, the adulterer, which is the second husband. That's why she has to leave both. Utzricha get mizeh mizeh. She needs a get from this one and that one. Ve'en la ketubah. She gets no payment for a ketubah. Ve'lo perot. She gets no produce from the personal property that her husband took. That's a tough. I know she didn't do no mistake, but at the end of the day, yeah. Ve'lo mezonot. She doesn't receive any payment for food. Ve'lo blaot, nor value for the worn out property. Lo azeh ve'lo azeh. She cannot collect anything from this man or that man. Imnatla mizeh, and if she took any of these things, the ketubah, the produce, the money, the worn out property, tahzir, she has to return it. Not only that, ve'avlad mamzer mizeh o mizeh. If she had a child from either this man or that man, then mamzer. Ve'lo zeh vazeh mitamin la. Worse, if she was to die, both of these men are not allowed to make themselves tameh if they were Kohanim. A Kohen is allowed to make himself tameh for his wife. It's one of the people that he's allowed to make tameh. Only him and his direct relatives. But if they were Kohanim and she died, no, we're not contaminating ourselves for you. That's what the halacha, right? Velo zeh vazeh zakayin lo b'mtziata. Neither this man or that man has the right to any lost objects that she finds. So that's a little good thing. She can keep it. Velo b'ma'aseh yadea, or to the profits of her own work, she keeps her own money. Velo ba'afarat nedareha, or the cancellation of her vows. Hayta bat Yisrael nifsela min ha'keuna. What's a very long Mishnah? If she, all this because one guy made testified fault. See, it just goes to show you, what it is, an edut. What is it, an edut? Where's Victor? Victor is, he's been talking about edut in the daily halacha every morning here about having proper witnesses and stuff like that. Who's a kosher witness? It's just serious stuff over here. you say something like that, you better own it. Yeah. No, you need two, right? Even though the Lashon of the Mishnah said ubau ve'amru, which implies two, but the Mefarshim say that even if one person came and said. So what are some of the privileges that this woman loses? Hayta bat Yisrael nifsela min hakeuna. If this woman is a daughter of a Yisrael, okay, she's now disqualified from marrying a Kohen because she had an adulterous marriage. Ubat Levi min maaser. If she's a daughter of Levi, she cannot eat maaser. Ubat Kohen min teruma. And if she's a daughter of Kohen, she can no longer eat teruma. Ve'en yorshim shezeh. Ve'yorshim shezeh yorshim et hakedubah. If she dies before either husband, the children of that man, of this man or that man, cannot inherit any money, extra money that was promised to them in her ketubah. Ve'im metu. But if the husbands died without children before they divorced her, the brothers of each of these men must perform halitza with her and cannot perform yibum. This is a connection to the Masechet. Rabbi Yosef argues with the Tanakama. It's a little bit more lenient. He says, ketubata anichse bala rishon. She gets a ketubah. She gets a ketubah from the first husband. The estate of the first husband. Why? Because she didn't commit adultery intentionally, so she receives a ketubah from her first husband. Rabbi Elazar also is a little bit lenient that the husband loses his rights. He says Harishon zakai b'mtziata. The first husband has the rights to any lost objects that she finds, and the profits of her work, and the cancellation of her vows. Rabbi Shimon says, Bi'ata o chalitzata me'achiv sherishon poteret tzarata. If the brother had cohabited with her, which means yibum, or performed halitza, then the co-wife, her co-wife is exempt from yibum as well. Ve'en avlad mimenu mamzer, and as well he says that if there was a child from the first husband, it's not a mamzer. Ve'im he said shelo b'reshut. Now, if she goes on and marries without this permission from the court, because she was told by two valid witnesses that her husband was dead. So if you're told by two valid witnesses that your husband is dead, you don't really need permission from the court to remarry. And then her husband came back. Muteret lachzor lo. She's permitted to return to him. Right? She's not. So there you go. If two legit witnesses came and said that he died and he went with someone else, okay, and then he comes back after a few months, she can go back to the first husband because you had two legitimate witnesses. In the case that we had was only one witness, and thereby the whole thing gets messed up. Okay, we'll continue next week. Bezat Hashem.